What's up, guys? We're down in the restoration shop below the showroom at Kaplan Cycles and the New England Motorcycle Museum, and this is part 2 of the Kawasaki KDX450 restoration and preservation services. This bike is cleaned up super nice. Doc gave it the PhD detail treatment. He took it outside and soaked it with 3 different types of cleaning chemicals and gave it the super power wash, which means he washed not only the top, but laid it on the side and washed the bottom of the motor and everything else. Then he brought it in, blew it all off, cleaned it all up real nice, and got to work on sanding and painting the exhaust system, sanded in between the cylinder fins and painted the head and the engine cases. So just a preliminary cleanup, and you got to admit, after looking at the way it looked last week, it's really shaping up quite well. So the next step after we like to clean the bikes up before the mechanics work on them. We don't want any dirt around the engine or on the air boot intake. You don't want any dirt falling in the engine. That's like a cardinal sin. So right or wrong, we always like to do a serious detailing before they get to Mark or to Chris or whoever's working on the bikes down here. Mark's actually doing a frame off on this Honda ST90 right now, so we're getting started on that. And Chris is working on Kenny's 86 CR500, and this is his practice bike and a KDX80. Doc's cleaning up an old XL, but back to this KDX450. The initial analysis of it is that it's got really good bones. It's a very good unit to put some effort into. The original rims are nice and straight, so have the shine on them. The things that remain to be done on the bike, we actually changed the front fender out. We had one of these in stock. This is the fender that was on there. It was obviously cracked pretty badly and so forth. So we took that fender off, put a different fender on. Not the one that's going to stay on there, but we're just trying to kind of mock this thing up and see what to do next. One of the issues we have is the plastics are all different colors. So we're not really sure what to do about that because they're not really available on the secondary market because this is a 1-year model. It's an extremely rare bike. If you're wondering why you haven't seen a KDX450, well, there's hardly any out there anymore that exist. So Frank took really good care of this thing throughout the years. Never beat the shit out of it. Didn't let his buddies ride it and ruin it. And it stayed pretty nice, but it does need some TLC. The tank's got a browning on the bottom, which is something we're a little concerned about, but the stock factory graphics are going to be replaced. This one's peeling up on this side, so we're going to get either a custom reproduction, or if we can find the originals, we'll get a new set of graphics. The Scott grips are torn. The levers are in need of some restoration or replacement, so we'll do that. The original bars are in good shape. They just need to be restored and painted. A bit of patina here on the kill switch. The bike wouldn't start. Doc tried to start it. It started last fall when it was parked. Frank bought this to the 500 shootout, but it wasn't running very well. It was running real rough, so we're going to get to doing a major tune-up on it. But before we do that, he's going to do a compression test and make sure the engine health is good. He's going to change the oil and then go into the air box and refurbish the carburetor and air box, put a new air filter in it, probably replace a lot of the hardware that's really rusty or restore it if it's not available. Once the carb, air box, and intake are straightened out, he's going to replace all the hoses. All the hoses are really brittle, old-looking hoses. That's what they look like now. After 40 years, that's what they're supposed to look like. It's supposed to be a pretty pink, not a crusty brown. So, so all the hoses are going to get replaced. This is the improper drain hose that's going to get replaced too. So all the hoses on the engine will be replaced. The petcock will be tested. New spark plug will be installed after they do the compression test. And just go through and rebuild the carb, get everything dialed in, get it running good. Change the oils, fluids, make sure the engine's nice and healthy, torque down all the engine bolts. Then he's going to replace this chain. This is probably the original chain. The sprocket is serviceable, so we'll keep that on there. We'll put a brand new chain on it. And the tires are super old. They're probably 30-year-old tires. This one's got a crack in it, so it's going to need some, it's pretty cracked pretty badly. And the forks, so we put new tires on it, new tubes, and the spokes. If we were doing a concourse restoration, which I don't recommend doing on this bike because you'd spend $5 grand doing it, and it would only be worth about $5 grand, $4,500. So not a very good investment. We have a couple methods we can do where we can wire wheel these and put a rust preventative coating on there, on the spokes, so they won't go backwards anymore. Hopefully they're still adjustable. A lot of the hardware is kind of crusty. The forks are kind of crusty, but we will sand down the forks. We'll paint those. We could send them out and have them polished to a brilliant aluminum, chrome-like finish, but you know, you could end up spending I don't know exactly, but they're probably, you know, they're going to charge us like 20 hours labor, so you could spend $600 or more, or $800. I'm not really sure what they would charge, but they charge by the hour for polishing, so we're going to try to fix that in-house for much less money. One of the challenges we have on this bike is the headlight's a 1 year only model, and it's cracked in the front, this area right here. So we're going to have to replace the headlight, possibly the whole unit. I'm going to try to salvage the shell and install a headlight inside of there. Chris, you think there might be a way to, when you and Shane order the parts, can you get a headlight that a bolt goes in the side, like maybe one of the vintage Yamaha ones we have or something, that bolt to a set of ears? If we can get a headlight with a bucket, I think we can screw it in there and use the original, you know, unobtainium front piece.
I'll look on the pot ceiling, so see what was
Yeah.
there.
All right, cool. The Dirt Bike Wizard's on the job, so don't fear Frank. He's going to take care of it. Him and his son. So the original engine is in excellent condition. I heard it run last year when Frank rode it. There were no funny engine noises or anything. Frame's going to need some touch-up paint, as is the shifter, the frame rails. This is going to be an in-frame restoration. We're not more of a preservation service than it's not really a restoration. A restoration would be bringing it back to, in the words of Joe Abadi, the restoration is bringing it back to original 100% mint condition. This is more of a preservation service and making it usable again, because Frank's going to run this in the 500 shootout. This tie right here needs to be replaced. That's supposed to be a hose clamp. But the original boots are in decent shape. I mean, they'll clean up nice. And did I leave anything out, Chris, or did I cover everything that we thought we had to do on this thing? Oh, it's also missing the side stand. That's why I have in the center stand. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to find one because it's such a rare bird, but we will try. Set of tires. And the front engine case guard is broken, so I'm not sure if we can get an aftermarket one or an original. And again, some of the hardware. So frame needs to be painted back here. So all in all, a nice first step. I believe Doc's got about 3 to 4 hours into it at this point, cleaning it and painting the motor and everything. So a small investment in time and materials yielded great results in making the thing look like it's got a great chance at a second chance at life here. The original baffle here, which is the longest baffle I've ever seen on a dirt bike, it's like a bazooka, is intact. It's something else. So it's missing the taillight too. So we're gonna forge forward on this, try to find the parts first. Chris is gonna do the compression test, make sure the engine's healthy and the crank seals are still good. Sometimes the crank seals dry out after, well, what is this, 37 years old. So stay tuned. This is part 2 of the KDX preservation services at Kaplan Cycles. Thanks for watching. God bless America.